kind of dark, but I'll roll with it. Hi, hello. Welcome to my weird little thing, space, time. Happy new moon. Gosh, this is so funny, again, too, because everything that you would like instantaneously Google, I suppose, about what sign the moon is in, says Sagittarius. New moon is Sagittarius. What up? But again, using not astrological, quote unquote, sources and some science-based sources, it looks to me like the moon will be in Scorpio until the 24th. So it would technically be a new moon on the rise of Scorpio. But that's interesting for a few reasons. I kind of already tapped into that on another thing, but that's interesting for a few reasons, and bear with me. Let's see. So, Mercury and Venus are very literally on top of each other, almost like in sync and identically so, from multiple perspectives. They're just very much holding hands, hanging on to each other. And I was trying to meditate on where that influence is being met with the most influence or information, and obviously Jupiter kind of runs bits of the show, but also not. And I feel like the loudest conversation is with Uranus. And I think that has a lot to do, very literally, with the social perceptions of what's going on, which would explain my initial interaction with this. Let me pull up what these look like too. There you go. Yeah, Uranus. There's also there was also something about, oh God, where is it? It was there we go. Pallas Athena and Black Moon Lilith and Cancer. And Cancer together. And I think that also kind of is being influenced by both Venus and Mercury and Uranus in the context of influences of very warrior-like feminine energy. And that is a very superficial relating, but is also something that we can see very literally in real time in the way that the world is acting. And in a lot of the ways people are rising. So I think that there is a very sudden transformation, a very sort of you almost wake up the next day in a different place, in a different mood, in a different perspective, and sometimes realizations can really be that fast, just as decisions. And just like that, everything changes. And I always have kept that in mind with the skepticism that you would get reading, because people think you're predicting the future. And I don't think it's that. I think you're reading energy, and I think all of that energy has momentum to it. And so you're reading that momentum, and that can also change at any point. This may resonate for where that energy is now, but you could choose to be an entirely different person the next day, and something else will resonate differently as that unfolds. It's an interesting game we play. I'm also very fascinated by this, like, because it really does jump. The sun's very much breaching into the realm of Sagittarius. Like, it's just so much like sudden cusp energy, and it reminds me of the way like video game characters will run. You know, like it's almost just like so sudden, and I don't want to say inorganic because the universe would not do that. But it's just abrupt. Video games, I guess, obviously would kind of be. I think that the moon hanging out in the end of a very deep consideration of life kind of sign, and then suddenly erupting into Sagittarius is kind of like par for the course, like how perfect for Sagittarius and how like righteous and appropriate for, just kind of ironic, because and I have some theories about this within cusps as well, and it being more so elements of maturation and transformation rather than like something that doesn't exist, because I've heard that, which is something I find interesting. But yeah, I mean, Sagittarius being this, expansive explorer of thought and of realm and of action, is also cultivating some deeper understanding in the very beginning elements of its coming to, and with the great understanding of the very deepest, most, I don't know, prolonged, long elements of a deep. It's a very long arc that I'm getting, but like deep elements of Scorpio's inspirational thought. Maybe I'm just biased, but I do think the two are working very much together on this. But I also have a very different understanding of these things than maybe some other people do. So with that, and all of my theories, I thought it would be a good idea to pull some cards for everybody and see. I don't know what this turning of the page for the moon can look like. And it's not that it's unwritten. It's almost like it's already in progress. I mean, and that's the thing about a new moon. It's already like half illuminated. But I don't know, it's still surprising. There's still something very surprising or sudden or abrupt, again, about it. So be open to experience and learn to go in with no expectations, only possibilities. And those two things can be very different, because expectations will result in sort of shoulding yourself and shoulding, S-H-O-U-L-D, not shitting yourself. Excuse my French. And like a punishable way of accountability, whereas possibility is imaginative accountability and explorative accountability, and like it's much more expansive in that realm. One, I get the sense of like honing in and whittling down, and us thinking that that's what to do, but it ultimately is cutting away, and the other option to embrace would be, rather than whittling away, being more expansive in learning and growing. Man, okay. iPhone storage full. Cards. That's what I'm gonna pull. The cards. These are very tight. I like this. I'm going to keep this. But that also makes me think of, my theory on angels and demons, and that's like consolidation and like that tightness versus like a dispersion and expansiveness. And while dispersion can also be kind of difficult sometimes because that's a lot of knocking down shit, that's a lot of ripping shit apart, that's a lot of obliterating the shit that doesn't work, which is why angels are written to destroy worlds, but it's different connotation. But the consolidation is also what holds us down. It's the solidification of things like trauma and addiction and da. But it can also be material. But again, like you see what I mean. Neither are good or bad. But so there's a consolidation in here, but I've seen the obliteration too. That is very prevalent. Both are very prevalent, I think. There's a lot of quote-unquote angelic energy, so a lot of things will feel like they're being torn away from us. Or like we're really tearing ourselves away from things. That is in and of itself recognizing the presence of the consolidated energy. Which would be, working with your demons or banishing your demons or whatever it is you do with your demons. And however it is you're dealing with them. I like to play with mine. We're not going to draw yet. We're going to breathe. Ooh, sorry. I'm just feeling a lot. Okay. Alrighty. We're going to take 3 deep breaths in and out together. Inhale. And on the exhale, you're going to mention shadow cards in your hands like we are reading together. Alrighty. Take a deep breath in. And exhale. Take a deep breath in. And exhale. Take a deep breath in. And exhale. Interesting. My shoulders hurt. That would explain. Okay. Yeah, that really would explain it, honestly. My shoulders hurt and like the very edges, really. Which was very sudden. Like that dude wasn't feeling. My shoulders do hurt sometimes, but and there's some interesting spinal elements here. I felt a lot of air. I felt a lot of shadow. I also felt a wantingness to like almost hold my own hand as if it was somebody else's. Almost like as if there was a hand. which maybe is like a longing for that kind of intimacy or companionship, or which there's a card here though which suggests that, but I think also can relate to the way that we can unify our demons, and that is ultimately the best way to transcend them. When we can work the tree of death, when we can really activate the full dimensions of the Merkaba, when we can work with our shadow, dream walk, like every way of dealing with both the spirit and the non-spiritual, in the sense of like being able to be in a room alone with yourself, being able to be alone with your mind, being able to lay alone with your thoughts, being able to understand your will, your desire, your interest, your compulsion. Not so much the what's, but the whys, essentially. And so, Eight of Wands, bottom of the deck, and that has less to do with options on the outside and more to do with the many options on the inside. Maybe many pathways, like I said, because we can go, anything can change at all times, and ultimately we have to realize that that exists more so here than it does. In the same way that a plant has multiple roots, but we only see one sprout. And maybe that's all we see right now, and we're questioning whether that can sprout and vine. But in reality, it has many pathways of vines in capacity and in capability and memory as it grows and communicates with other plants as well. But again, vital network, maybe less, maybe more of an effort in faith in that, and belief in that, belief in the self, the ultimate satanic ritual. I also feel like that can be a very invigorating energy, and that's, there's so much inspiration that can come from within, and there's so much healing that can come when you are open to that as well. There's so much possibility. There's so much many things. There's so much option, possibility, growth, warmth, purity, light, energy, dreams, possibility. I come full circle. Okay. The companionship element. The Three of Swords is present, and present in the middle. Which, whether or not you believe in past, present, or future kind of drawings or whatever, that is also just sort of present energy or central energy. Like, almost like, I mean, at least now, especially because I don't need any fucking clarifiers, it's like central energy, like nucleus for this kind of vibratory deal. The Three of Swords has a bad rap, though, and I will take this to, like, this is the hill I will die on. Not take this to the grave. This is the hill I will die on. The Three of Swords is a bad rap, and I feel like, yes, it is, and can continue to be things like heartbreak and what have you for other people. But I think so much more so, it's about the integrity that comes with experiences and learning and living in that manner. It's unfortunate, but as many times as our hearts have been broken, it really only makes us a better, wiser, more understanding lover. Or it really can. It really is meant to. But fear and shame and guilt are the things that harden us, really. Fear of feeling stupid or what have you. And that is not the totality of the experience. It takes some time to get there, and like, party on, it's a journey. But ultimately, to me, the Three of Swords is about what gives you your uprightness, what gives you your poise, what gives you your grace, what gives you your stability and your structure? What do you bleed for? And what do you live for? What do you love for? And that can take many forms, and ultimately is a spectrum of experience, and does not have to be something foreboding or something to be feared or something to not want to see in a present moment. I also think that perhaps if those elements come up, again, a great opportunity to sort of really scour what it is that you can take from this and sort of add to your spine in building your structure and your stability and your poise and your integrity, rather than the weight of it all, which is what ultimately I think demons want. The more I think that they were only trying to love intensely. And I also think that angels are meant to rip these things away because of those lessons. Angels will be the ones that do something terrible and say, but I did this because I love you and because I want you to learn from it. And that's not to be it is kind of a dick move, but it's not to be a dick. It is because it's a powerful lesson, and unfortunately those things, not unfortunately, just because those things give us a very stable sense of self, or are meant to, because they don't feel like they do, and I know that. I think we all fucking know that, but they do, because we also have the Queen of Swords and the Ace of Swords. Very literally royalty and her prime weapon. Very literally, as above, so below. Like, one's upright, one's inverted. And that is, ooh, wonderful, interesting. Okay, so as much as these two cards together, or individually, have lent themselves to ideas of mental overwhelm, I think that perhaps with the light of the Three of Swords and the lessons learned, or very realistically the plasma and the memory of cellular structure of blood or blood shed, is what ultimately will give us the light to weave these things together and create a more detailed picture. And whimsical is a thing that's coming to fantastic, fantasy. What is your fantasy? Those kinds of drawings are always so detailed and so fine, and because of that, they create this serious sense of reality. And that is ultimately how we can weave our truths about whatever it is that we experience. Very realistically, neurobiologically. What's the word? Synapse. Connectors, thin lines. And fascia, that's also the word that I was looking for, which is this very thin, sort of white line membrane that exists in all of our organs, in and throughout all of our organs, in our skin, all the way to the surface of the skin, and actually receives information constantly. Be mindful of that information. You know the information that helps, you know the information that doesn't. Be clear about that information. Do not be swayed or misguided or filled with doubt and questioning. I'm going to be careful saying that. I don't want to say beyond reason, because it's counterintuitive. Too much logic involved ultimately shuts down intuitive response. It doesn't shut it down. It's not like it goes completely away. But it disconnects you from it. It's like you deleted their number, or you blocked them. You don't get service from them when they call. kind of deal. And be very skeptical about life. I fucking always am. But at the same time, always listen to your intuition. And that's very difficult for people. But you can begin to learn what that means and what feels right and wrong for you. And what makes you feel like something is good and something is not going to help you get wherever it is you want to be. There are people, there are places, there are things that make us feel something that feeds us and makes us feel something that hurts us. Don't be afraid to tune into those things. Don't be afraid to be very aware of those things. Like in the most literal way, like it's like knowing what you like and don't like in bed. You should be able to know that about how your body feels about energy too. And that's just curiosity. And as ironic as it is, that sureness comes with a lot of questioning. But it's a questioning that is more open to answers. And that is also why I was very careful with saying that, because there is a lot of ways that could be misconstrued, taken out of context. And ultimately, I think those are all avenues, perhaps, that are modes of questioning that are not looking for answers. And looking for, I don't know, something other than an answer, validation. Repetition. Ease. Yeah, okay. Let's pick some numbers. Oh, thank you for that. Okay, I can't help but say, as I'm looking at this, that the Eight of Wands also lends itself, at least to me, often in modes of creation. Or like, when it's like, hey, retransmute these feelings, learn how to create something with it, or whatever. Which is really interesting, because I was also just listening to like a fucking interview, with some monk, something like that. Don't come at me for it. But essentially about like, your anger doesn't come from outside. There's nothing that you have to do to let your anger out safely. What you have to do is understand where it's coming from, because it always comes from within, and what that means. And when you can transmute that, then it's not an issue of letting it out. You've learned a way to turn that anger into something beautiful. The metaphor he used was also much like a lotus needs mud to be able to grow. I very much got that from this, is like, create, yes, not some, maybe in secret, because it's like, create within, and I feel more shrouded, or like, in abyss than I do it having to do with anybody else, or anything else, I suppose. But ironically, as I say that, I think that will come in handy to remember with this Three of Swords present, because if that is something that exists in the present, then perhaps as we investigate these things, we also find them very triggering, or find ourselves very triggered, or find ourselves in these situations and may feel attacked. And those are the situations when we are opening up our heart and vulnerable and also get hurt. Those are the things and moments that ultimately make us like knock us down 2 more steps, as if like like this is what I get for kind of, and it creates more callous and more resistance. And with the Queen of Swords and the Ace of Swords at your side and at your hilt, there's no reason to fear that stand strong. Continue to love fully, love freely, live fearlessly, and live fully, all of those things, without hesitation, despite that. And as I'm saying that, I am also absolutely, I absolutely feel like that is for all of the queers in the world right now. And I hope that sticks. Okay. Draw more cards. All right. Likewise, we breathe. Take a deep breath in. And exhale. Take a deep breath in. And exhale. Take a deep breath in. And exhale. That's a very different feeling than the first time. My shoulders feel very relieved. I feel strength in my shoulders, which is maybe where we find our footing again, despite Mars being retrograde in Gemini, a sign that rules the arms and shoulders. As well as intellect and questioning, it lends itself absolutely to this, Moon in Scorpio Sagittarius nonsense. Yeah, I feel stronger. And I hope that is the continued transition towards strength for all of you. Indeed it is. I think so. Six of Diamonds is the bottom of the deck, and inverted. I don't. Okay, so upright is very much like a go for it kind of deal. It's very much perfection. It's very much balance. It's equilibrium. Inverted does not necessarily mean without or with lack. However, I do think that it stands to remind us that sometimes when we don't get our way, it is because we don't always get what we want, but we always get what we need. And when we trust in experiences like that, we begin to sort of combat fear, fear failure, and how hard we can be on ourselves with that, which is ultimately like such a balanced thing and like such a successful way of existing, such a great equilibrium. So I do still think that that exists and is here to remind us of. And I think lends itself to play, perhaps more than winning, and how perhaps we define success. I read something recently that was like defining success by like how many people feel safe around you in your life. And I thought, damn, that's a pretty good way to define success. And I'm a sucker for abstraction. Three of clubs, Queen of Hearts, Ace of Spades. All fantastic cards. As far as chords, I love A minor chords. Threes are numbers of creation and numbers of great faith and numbers of great momentum and numbers of current and electricity, and numbers of growth. And I feel like this is going to be, and that's true. That's what we aspire to be true of winter, is using that time to be able to continue to grow. And it can be really difficult. Keeping indoor plants alive is very difficult in the winter for some people. In general, but especially in the winter. And I think have some patience, have some fucking faith, and look at yourself kind of as that, and you begin to consider yourself a little bit more thoroughly. You just be a little bit more considerate with yourself when you think of it that way. Like, so humid in here, my plants need a humidifier and blah blah blah. Bitch, you need not to call you bitch, I just don't know your name personally. The Queen of Hearts, like, not only is this like a inner growth suggestion, lent with very potent potential fire energy, which is again the like leading into a fire sign. It's a light fire, like first deacon kind of nonsense, because it's first steps, it's first stages, it's making the bonfire. But the Queen of Hearts is a very like potent, fulfilling card. This is a lot of water energy. This is where a lot of things unleash, and maybe this is where Scorpio gets its full maturation, is leaping into the reality of Sagittarius, because all of these energies are also very cyclical. It is the circle of harmonies. And the Queen of Hearts is very fulfilling. It's very saturating. It's very moist. If you hate that word, I'm sorry. It is that which allows us to breathe and allows us to feel full of life, vital energy. And perhaps that is something to be considerate of. God, I will only say that. Ace of Spades, and on top of the Ace of Swords, interesting. I love that. That's like double energy. And the Ace of Spades, I think, is also kind of like a wish card, but also that you can kind of make that wish come true. Like, it's very much, Homeboy's like playing poker, got poker face. Oh gosh, late. There we go. Playing poker has poker face. Here, I'll show you both. Shh. Bam. There we go, kind of. I just realized there was another light I could have turned on. Oops! But, see, his poker face wouldn't have told you that. He just would have done it better the next time. I'm too honest for my own good. But I think he also, like, the main point about this card is that he doesn't have to let anybody know, because he knows. He knows, and you don't have to know shit until he fucking wins and takes your money. That's why he has this, like, weird little moon eye. He sees the illumination on the other side of the moon that we do not see. He sees what is, I mean, and that's what we're trying to be. Find the ability to understand the illumination on the other side of the moon without having to see it. It is still very powerful just because it's not in your face like a full moon. And it is still going to rock and bring with it some more stories to tell. That's actually a really perfect way to end it. So I'm going to do that. And I love you all very much. And I appreciate all of the people that do tune in with me and message me about what resonates and ask questions and all of that. I appreciate your openness to learning with me, because I don't know what the hell I'm doing sometimes either. But with that, I love you, and I know we're doing great. So, party on. And I will see you on the other side of the moon, bud.